Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Anfield Index Under Pressure podcast. My name's Dan Kennett, and with me to go through the epic Manchester City 2, Liverpool 2, I have the rest of the normal team. Gags was on for one fleeting appearance only in the Mo Salah pad. We probably won't see him again for the rest of the season, but he is on a well-earned holiday, family holiday. But
as if he won't be back if we won the league. He loves a bit of glory, that lad.
He wouldn't do an Under Pressure pod though. He'd just come on and do it.
He said he'd come back if we beat United as well, didn't he?
Actually, he'll probably come back from the Wolves pod. Anyway, but you've already heard him. We've got our sports science double act on, and we've got our most qualified sports scientist, Dr. Phil Barter. Good evening, Phil.
How are we doing, boys? You all right?
Aye, good, Phil. And we've got our most practiced sports scientist, Mr. Simon Brundish.
Evening, boys.
Fresh from some good news, I believe, Si. Did you win something? Your team, your coaching team.
Oh,
you won the league, right?
Yeah, we won the league. Yeah, we won our league. But don't even ask me which league it is. I've no idea.
It's the league below the Women's Super League, and it's in the Southern Division or something, isn't it? I think, or the Northern Division. What are the other? It's
the no, because we're in the academies. So it's the academies. So basically the team below first teams of women. That's what we won.
But you won the league by beating your fiercest rivals, of course,
who weren't actually in the competition. But yeah, they finished like seventh. They were shit. But
congratulations.
Beating Forest is always fun.
And are you coach or are you what are you? First team coach? What are you?
I am head of performance for the club. The beauty of it is that just as a quick aside, Forest are scumbags. They play just like Burnley, and it turns out that in retrospect, their three coaches are Burnley fans.
Oh, beautiful.
I discovered this yesterday. Sean Dyche was down at Forest Ground, and they were tickling his balls, and it was so awesome.
Hang on. This is ladies' football. Is that reference valid?
Yeah, the coaches are men.
Okay. So, can I just a quick one? I've never actually seen a lower division academy women's match before, but are you saying that it's just as Route 1 as the men's game?
No. Just they're very cynical in how they set up, defend, 37 seconds kick from the hands.
Oh, I see.
Kick.
Okay. So it's one of the one for the ball in play clock when it comes in 1 hour.
Oh, needless.
Yeah.
Cheating from the first minute, all that stuff.
But well done, congratulations on winning promotion. Excellent news there, Si. And you've already heard
that. Cup final is on. Cup final is during. We're in the cup final, so is during the final game of the season.
Oh God!
Oh man!
We're going for the league. You're playing a cup final.
Yep.
Fucking hell.
Wow.
Yep. Women's football does not do itself any favours.
Brilliant.
Jeez.
Right. And you've already heard him there. It's our video analyst and data collection data analyst. It's Mr. Daniel Rhodes.
Yes. This was a tough one.
It was.
Collect.
How many hours on the collection for this?
Just a 6 hour.
It's a 6 hour job. Anyway, we're going to get plenty of value from it though on this. So without further ado, let's get into the match. And let's start. Let's just break the lineups down into two. Let's look at Liverpool first, Si. Our lineups, the key decisions we made in the selection choices. And How did we go with?
We pretty much got a full team, haven't we? So we can pick anybody. The only players out injured are the great Origi of Divock and Cade. So fill your boots basically with these boys. So there's a little bit of mitigating load going on, maybe with the foresight of the future over the last couple of weeks. But this is first team. This what I classify as Jurgen picking what he thinks is the strongest possible 11. And against them, I think they probably did the same thing. It was great to see, though it's harder for us to pinpoint a first team 11 than it would have been Arsenal against Man United in 2002 or 99, whenever the great games were, because our squads are all bigger. But this was it, and there's a way of playing, a way of integrating midfield into attack, all that stuff. These boys deserve their role in the team, and it was theoretically, before the game started, I thought this is balls out, one coach going full out against the other coach, and it was going to be a headbanger of a game.
So the key choices, though, it was Hendo over Naby. Joel Matip over Konate at the back, and Jota, centre forward, over Diaz and Bobby. Now, one question, Si, was Bobby injured or slightly injured?
No. No, it's just Bobby's not first choice anymore. Jota is. Jota's the second highest scorer in the league.
No, but Bobby had missed a couple of days of training, hadn't he? The day
Yeah. But that means 2 days training means nothing.
Okay.
Bobby's never selected when in the big games this season when Jota's available and fit. I think there's been one game where he has, and Jota wasn't. Jota was coming back from fitness at that point.
Okay. So you think the default now is selection is Jota?
I'm not sure how much of a default we have. I just think he's the first choice. If he can be played, he is played.
Yeah, if it's a big game and Jota's fit, he's going to start centre forward over Bobby. Yeah.
Yeah, and as much as I don't like his game outside of the penalty box, I think he probably justifies his role.
Okay.
And the Hendo thing, Hendo's a captain. Hendo just plays in the big games. He just does. And if we're talking from sports science perspective, he was the one primed. Keita played a whole game midweek. So he was the one that shouldn't have played today. Played on Sunday, so yeah.
I think the only exception to that is Inter away, isn't it? When he didn't play, and that was it. But then that seemed to give him the kick at the backside to improve himself for half a dozen matches, didn't it? So.
Yeah, but it was all part of a loading strategy as well.
Okay.
Maybe for them, Si, Mahrez, for Jesus.
No, I'm going to come on to I'm going to ask Bart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Bart, so as the oppositional analyst amongst us, and it was a slightly unexpected lineup and system from City. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we'll come on to the system because I think that's probably feeds into some of the discussions we're going to have. But in terms of lineup, Walker came in from the midweek. I think he was suspended in Europe, so he came in. And then Mahrez and Gundogan, sorry, I can't pronounce it. He dropped out. Silva and Foden came in. So they had 3 changes from the midweek game and 4 from the previous league game. But I kind of think Foden was talked about a lot in the press as being got to bring in because he played well in midweek when he came on 68. So, but I kind of agree with Si. This is pretty much, this is a go-to set of players for Pep. Now, how they lined up and how they played was very different. And to lead into some of the discussions we can have, the last time they played the 2-man pivot was against United in March, beginning of March. No. So traditionally they go 4-3-3. For our game, they had 2-man pivot.
In the scouting report that you posted, wasn't it something like 80% of the time they play 4-3-3?
Yeah. So they don't play a 2-man pivot or start with a 2-man pivot very often.
Okay.
And that's why I went back to look at the last time they did it, and it was against United.
So, big discussion point for City on similar to us in our Jota or Bobby or Diaz was Gabriel Jesus. Now, he hasn't actually scored in the Premier League since he got the winner at Chelsea. I think it was in October. And he doesn't actually he didn't actually shoot that much in the Premier League at all, and his numbers aren't actually that great for somebody who plays up front for Man City. So what do you think was the rationale for the Gabby Jesus selection from a City perspective?
I think he's been playing. He's been playing more wide, hasn't he, for City recently? So in the wide right, I think he's. In terms of what he does, he's played against Robbo before. He does have a tendency to score against us. I think it added pace against Robbo on that side to keep him pinned in. I think part of their strategy we'll come on to, I think, was to push our fullbacks back, nullify them in the first part of the game. So I think GC's helped to do that. And then we were discussing before the game, weren't we, who's playing the false nine. It turned out to be Sterling down the middle.
Yeah.
It
wasn't even a false either, was it? It was.
No, it wasn't. He was right up. So he was occupying BBD and Matic with the pace to going behind, and then it left Foden with Trent on the right. So Trent's got his hands full with not dealing with pace, but dealing with an exceptional footballer. So yeah, I think it kind of made sense. And if you look back through the games, Jesus has generally played that sort of right side a bit quite often for Pep. So he might not have scored, but he does a role that is clearly defined that Pep wanted to do at that time. And you know what Pep's like? He's a system man, isn't he? So
yeah. So
you have to come and do the role.
So let's start talking about the game plans then. Si, we deviate? From the first whistle, did you see any deviation from us in our normal game plan and a normal MO, or was it just the system is the system from us?
I think there were different phases. From the first second, I think we panicked, like our biggest players panicked for the first 5 minutes, and we didn't get any ball inside their half. By the time they'd scored, we'd literally touched the ball once inside the final third, and that was a throw-in. And so that made us look. It's hard to read how we were playing at that point, how we set up, because we just didn't do any. We didn't have the ball. We were just panicking all the time. Yeah, and the only one real change to how we played was when City had the ball, with our pressing structure completely changed from how we usually do. And I think that's a lot to do with how City set up to nullify our back line and try to control where we went with space, which is what the job of Jesus was. And them basically playing not a 4-3-3, they played 4-4-2 out of possession. And they had De Bruyne and Raheem making sure one of them was pressing a fullback and one of them was preventing the ball getting into Fab. Which kind of left them a little isolated and left our defence to try to connect further forward while everybody was blocked off. So system-wise, I think we set up in a very similar system. I think the way they set up shocked us.
Yeah. So this was clearly a City game plan, which was tailored. Yeah?
Yes.
So should we talk about a few things of what they do? I mean, I put the passing network in. And as always, we go with between the posts. We think it's still the go-to gold standard for the passing networks. And the thing that stands out straight away for the City one is just how much of a gap there is between the double pivot and the fullbacks and the front four. It just implies graphically that they were incredibly direct, and there was a big gap between almost like the back seven and the front four. Aside, how did you see that as the game unfolded in real time?
I'm not a big passing map guy. We talked about this. You guys like it more than I do. I think sometimes it can tell you stuff, sometimes it doesn't. I think this doesn't show how direct they were at all, because they weren't. What it shows is that their attackers didn't touch the ball anywhere near as much as everybody else. So if you just consider in 74 minutes, guess how many touches Raheem Sterling had?
He had the least in the match, didn't he? It was like 13.
18.
Yeah. Was it the fewest in the match?
Yeah, fewest in the match.
Yeah.
And so all it means is that they use their forward players. It was really a 2-3-1, but in possession, they used their front three to occupy our defense, dictate where space was going to be, so they could overload on the opposite side with a switch and play in. So they were pushing across their front three to occupy our four defenders. They were getting really compact down whichever side the ball was, so that there was an overload on the far side to be switched to. And Walker or Cancelo were getting in, and they were in 20 or 30 yards of space. It was an absolute masterclass. The way they set up their midfield with a 2 and a 1, and it depends on where the transition was being caused from, so where they were picking up the ball. The De Bruyne was either in space just behind Fab, or he'd picked one side of behind the eights, and he was constantly in space to do whatever he liked, and we weren't preventing the pass into him. So he got to kind of control whatever situations that he liked, and we were trying desperately with our wide players to counteract them playing out through their fullbacks, which we did kind of a job. But instead of the way we usually are with really proactive high pressing, we were trying to block the pass into the fullbacks with our wide players tracking back, which then meant that we didn't have the numbers forward to get to build out from.
So just on the packing one side of the pitch to switch to create space on the opposite flank, right? This isn't a new thing for City. They've been doing this a lot of the season side, right? So our opposition analysts will have known that City have a proclivity to do this, typically on their left before switching it across field to the right hand side. And that was around pre-match, but in even just amateur bloggers and amateur post level. So what if we take it as accept the fact that yes, we knew that they were going to do that overload, and then with the switch, what else was it about their game plan in that first half that caused us so many problems?
Most of the problems were caused from us giving the ball away.
So poor execution by us.
In the first 10 minutes of the game, we gave them the in our third just through bad passes, through absolute mistakes. And those mistakes came from our very best players, the best players in the world of their type. So we can talk about systems and functions of how we set up all we like. But Virgil lost the ball in 3 out of 7 touches. And no, in 4 of 7 touches.
Trent gave the ball away.
And Trent lost the ball in 5 of 6.
Yeah. It's madness.
Virgil gave the ball away inside our box.
Yeah. And then we got to factor in all the failed clearances, all the missed chances to clear. So I mean, and Rhodesy, you collected the pressure on this one, and there was 2 failed presses leading the shots in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly that. I'm just interested in if Si's got any takes on this. Like, remember Mourinho used to do like a broken press where he'd have like 6, 7 deep and then 3, 4 ahead. Is there anything like that? Because looking at their passing map, there's like no connections between their back 6 and their front 4. But obviously, when they did have a connection, when they did get the ball to them, they had space. They overloaded Fab. They had plenty of chances to exploit that space. It looked like a completely different City system to what we used to.
Well, they gamble with players higher up the pitch from the start.
Yeah.
So that when we gave the ball away in the first 10 minutes without even really any pressure, that they already had 5 players ready to counteract from that were already in our final third. So it feels really threatening straight from the off. But we can talk about how much threat there was. How much threat actually did it manifest in like XG?
Yeah. So
it was just one big chance, wasn't it? It was Sterling that was saved.
Yeah. So just before we do the match summary, we'll do that. We'll do that after this first goal, after this first immediate phase of the play. So you recorded 2 for the first 2 failed presses in that first few minutes, and the pressing in the first half was not to our normal standards, should we say, Rosie? The ones that you gave, there was a Thiago failed press on De Bruyne which led up to the through ball for Sterling goal out to Jesus, and then there was another one from Fabinho, obviously for the free kick where De Bruyne just sort of kind of danced past him far too easily. I mean, how did you see the off ball stuff in that opening period?
Panicked, kind of surprised by what they were doing, the amount of players that they had to deal with in that area. But then, like Si says, it's basic mistakes as well that lead to those chances being created, and then on the back foot. So if it's a simple header or a simple pass, and then when giving the ball away, people are going, "Oh, we're not used to this in this position. They've got 5 players here, whereas teams usually have got 2 or 3 at most." So it was it's tough down because it's kind of not a pressing issue for these two. For the 2 fails that led to shots,
just mistakes.
You know, it's either poor tracking. I know Dave's had a bit to say about that first goal and whose fault it was, and I think there's a lot of faults in that first goal. I think there's players who take their eye off it. There's Henderson's talking at the ref. Fabinho is kind of looking at the ref as well, and then goes, "Oh shit, De Bruyne's gone. I'll try and get to him," but De Bruyne just breezes past him. So you know, I think it was like a clusterfuck of all sorts in the first 8 minutes.
I mean,
I'm not sure it was a pressing thing.
No. I was just going to say in terms of just leading to shot, because it was a feature of the return fixture, wasn't it? I think we had 7 presses. We 7 failed presses leading to shots in that one, and 6 in this match. So City had a total of 1.17,
which is possibly more than we've had in the last 10 games combined.
Yeah, 1.17 xG conceded from failed presses, which is pretty high for us. Just on the first goal, Rhodesy, I would have almost been more sanguine if the Sterling chance had gone in. It was just the fact that it was a great save from Ali, and then to fucking get a deflected opener again in a game like that, I just thought, for fuck's sake, we are due some fucking look, aren't we?
You said we wouldn't concede again from outside the box this season, didn't you?
I know, fucking hell.
A deflector's one in off the post.
Fucking hell.
But Sterling should score. So I think we can take one for the other.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do the match summary, Rhodesy.
Yeah, this is your charts. If you look at the non-penalty XG, 1.2 to us, not 1.5 to them. That's definitely a draw. They had virtually twice as many shots as us, though, 11-6. Both have 4 shots on target. They nearly had twice as many shots in the box as well, 7-4. But we had 3 big chances to their 2. And 3 big chances from 6 leads to a shot quality of 0.2 for every one of our shots, which is huge. Our 3rd highest of the season. But they had 30. They nearly had twice as many penalty box touches as well. So no defensive errors from either side. So it was like they had more of the attacks. They had more of the shots in the box, more of the penalty box touches. But we edged the quality chances, although maybe you would give the Mahrez one as a big chance as well on reflection. So that was probably equal. The XG models, a little bit of discussion about this in the UP Discord group. Kaylee had us 1.3 to 1.1, but StatsBomb had it 1.1 to us and 2 to them. And I think that was mainly because of the Mahrez chance that was given as a big chance on the StatsBomb. They did put out their shot volume, their XG values. They put out their fancy maps that they've got as a special occasion for this one. All the other models pretty much had it as a 1-1 draw, really. Opta changed theirs after the game. Opta had it at 1.2 to 1.18, and then they updated it, and then they went to 1.63 to 1.19.
I know, so explain that one for the people listening.
Yes, go on then. That's about the through balls, isn't it?
Yes. So as we know, Opta collect the types of events during the match as they go, and they reserve the right to correct their own mistakes if they've made omissions post-match and reissue, and they can do this up to like a day later and stuff like that. So, but in this case, at full time, City didn't have a single registered through ball according to their own definitions, and then they subsequently went back and added 3 to City for their shots. And when you take a pure quantitative model like expected goals, you factor in preceding events, and what you find is that a shot from the same location is over twice as valuable when it's from a through ball when it's not from a through ball. So
and this has been known for a long time, hasn't it, Dan? I remember this in
sure.
2014-15, like we were talking about with Coutinho's through balls.
Yeah. So XG shots from through balls will always be weighted more highly in XG models. And obviously, when Opta update that on their data, then all of a sudden they recrank the handle on the engine, and it spits out different numbers for City, and makes their chances. And to be honest, I think it's perfectly fair. To be honest, Rhodesy, I mean, the City, what did you say the Opta figure was in the end? 1.8 to 1.2.
Yeah, no, it went from 1.2 to 1.7 basically.
I think that's probably fair. Half a goal more.
So they basically added a big chance and a half, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is fair.
Can we caveat this with all XG models apart from StatsBomb use these traditional equations, but StatsBomb isn't through ball or not through ball because they constantly monitor positions of the defenders. So the reason there's a value added to through ball is because people know that if you're through on goal, there are less defenders in the way, so there's more of a chance to score. So they had to change that value. Where StatsBomb, they give it they're precisely dependent on wherever the defenders are anyway.
I think that the StatsBomb marketing term is that their model is not naive.
But you would say that
all other XG models are naive because they don't know about these things.
But then, but then didn't a couple of players get back for the Mahrez chance?
Yeah,
Matip,
2 players in front of Mahrez, yeah.
And Matip
deflected it over. So it wasn't that. I think the chance was a big chance, but I think his lack of pace, and our recovery turned it into not a big chance because he had to chip the keeper from outside the box.
So by Opta, that would have been a higher chance than it actually was. By StatsBomb, it would have been a lower chance because they'd factored in 2 players in the way.
So
they gave it as a 0.3 still.
Yeah, it was. So just on the StatsBomb, what you said there. So StatsBomb is kind of in between tracking data and Opta data because it knows about defenders to a certain point because it takes a freeze frame of the video and it stores that with the shot location, and the artificial intelligence software is intelligent enough to scrape the positions of defenders, and they got loads of coding and algorithms around this to better enhance. So they do know about defensive pressure on the shooter. They do know about blockers in the way of the shot between the shooter and the goal and the shooter and the keeper and things like that. So they do know about these things as well. To be fair, and
they take into account goalkeeper's view.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all based on camera footage, and they do this kind of stuff. Yeah,
I would say there was interesting game state development though, Dan. In that they had a big chance and missed it. We had a big chance, scored it. They had a big chance, scored it. We had a big chance, scored it. We had a big chance, missed it, and then they had a big chance at the end and missed it. So it's very both teams were pretty clinical, and both teams had a chance to win the game or go ahead.
Yeah.
So, Bart's bringing you in here on our. We finally get our act together. About 8, 9, 10 minutes in, we actually start playing some balls, playing some possession rounds, and we actually create a fantastic equalising goal.
Yeah, I think we sort of. I think you guys have covered it well. We sort of came out. I don't think we started well. We were a bit panicky, and then we finally got the ball. I hate to say it, but we started to move it around as we normally do. I think we build decent possession. I think it ends up in Mo loses it. We regain it again. We build from the back. Robbo mishits a ball to Mane, which goes for throw-in. Thiago pings it to Trent. It deflects, and then it kind of moves around a bit, and then ends up in a prime zone for us with Trent putting it back for Jota to put it in from 6 yards out. Which
about 8 meters. Yeah,
8 meters out, which goes down as a big,
completely unmarked.
completely unmarked. I think Si said it clips off the keeper, so maybe Edison could do it a bit better.
Well, let's be honest, Alisson should save that. If we concede that goal, right,
we'd be fuming.
We'd be fuming at Alisson not saving that shot,
and we'd probably be fuming for the fact we left a striker unmarked and just on 8 yards out, right?
And also the fact that Trent skinned Cancelo around the outside in the build-up from Thiago's ball, long ball.
Yeah, but it was great. The sky ball though as well. It was really, really. He sort of Thiago picks it up and then Trent's gone and Thiago just finds him perfectly. So
my point was more, Phil, that we weren't the only team whose fullbacks were getting rounded on the outside.
Yeah, for sure. But we don't believe those managers. So, but no, I thought it was a great move from us. Actually, it was a first glimpse of the fact that we're in this game
again, just like the City game in 18-19, where fullback to fullback.
Yeah. Robbo to find Trent, who clips it in, and we score. This time it's Jota and not Bobby, isn't it? I think it's Bobby. Yeah, Bobby scores the one. So, yeah, I thought that from that moment, I genuinely thought, yeah, okay, we've got to go in here. We're moving things around, but they come back at us again very quickly with a couple of sharp attacks and Jesus as a strike.
So let's just talk about the rest of the first half generally. I thought we had a nervous start, Si. But we even though we equalised, it wasn't a really convincing performance. City felt like on top the whole half. When I watching, how did you see the between 1-1 and 2-1? How did you see the game and how did it panned out, the patterns of play?
I thought you did City a disservice by already getting to our goal. There is a lot of psychology involved here. We began the game with at least a couple of lads absolutely shitting themselves. And you can, I just think it's really easy for us to overlook the psychology of your best player doing something so absurd in the biggest game in the season. Like, that unnerves everybody around you. And it took a while for everybody to kind of get.
Who are you talking about? It could be 4.
But there were consequences, right? So in the 2.5 minutes in, that Virgil shanked the ball out of play, and Robbo looked at him and like, what? Made no sense. And then that made Virgil go and jump for a header that, like, forcibly go out of position to go and win a header that he generally wouldn't have gone for because he was making up for that thing. And, like, my point is not that I'm trying really hard not to pick on Virgil here, but there is a cascade from those things happening, and we started to spiral, and that had impact on all the different players because people started to get nervous and panic from that moment. And from Virgil kicking the ball out there, missing a header was the big chance that Raheem got in behind. And that has subliminal consequences, whether it has conscious ones that we have to look at tactically or not, I don't know. But just from a human's perspective, across the pitch, they're on it, we are not.
Human. You always say that. This is a stats show, but you always say that players are human. And
exactly. And this is the biggest. We went in this game. If you listen to the post match interviews with Hendo and Virgil, we went into this game believing if we won it that this was the league. That's the pressure they put on themselves. And after the game, they were like, "Yeah, we're still in it." But without a shadow of a doubt, they thought that they were going to win
Klopp
this.
Said the opposite, hasn't we? Hasn't it been always next game? Next game is the only one that matters.
Yeah. Klopp's always good at saying the right thing.
No, Si, so you think he's lying? So what?
No, I don't think he's lying at all. I don't. But I just you can have all of these laid out preparations, these psychological plans. Humans.
So
we're building.
I'm just wondering that we keep saying that, but so but what I would say, if Virgil makes those mistakes, but then Alisson makes a brilliant save, so wouldn't that bring everybody?
Bring it back to the question I asked you, Si, right? We talked about how had a shit start, but then we score a really good goal. But then for even after scoring a really good goal, my point was we still seemed really unsettled, and City seemed to really dominate the rest of the half.
But I was explaining why. I wasn't going off at a tangent. I was talking about the reasons why.
But then I said, but then we scored a really good goal. But obviously, that still wasn't enough to settle us down. Because
there were so many other things that carried on within the first after the point that I'd already made. That the Virgil made another passing error. The ball bobbled around. That Trent ended up making another silly mistake, which Ali swept up from. But then Ali passed the ball right into the middle of midfield, straight onto the head of a City player. And then Trent passed the ball right into the middle of midfield, straight to one of their players. They knew even the goal that we scored, we hadn't solved their problems. Okay. Because we were off it. They were doing tactically things that we were struggling with. And on top of the things that we were struggling with tactically, we weren't doing the things that we always do really simply well.
So what you're saying is we continue to execute badly, and City continue to do the same things that they did in that opening period with the overloads, the switches.
They were finding pressure points, and we weren't managing to plug them.
Okay. Thoughts?
And that plays out. That plays out with the pressure.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's the impact of having your alpha start like that. We didn't recover, I don't think, till half time. Right. And we didn't settle. I know we scored, and it was a great goal, but after that period of time, there was no real period where City couldn't quite easily move up through the gears. They still had 4 on our 4. There was still a big gap between their two sitters. So we were trying to press those two sixes, which left a massive gap between our 2-8s and Fab, which they were exploiting. As Si has already said, De Bruyne was dropping in front and behind Fab because there's space there. And Foden was coming in as well, which allowed Cancelo to go up that side. Or if it was the other side, Walker would go up and Cancelo would tuck around. So they were still doing what they wanted to do right up until the death of the first half when we had that chance, which we'll come on to. But they were doing what we could do. I think if it wasn't for Matip, we go down 3-4 down.
Okay.
Because Matip, for me, was the only one who was chilled.
I put it on my agenda that we make tactical tweaks at half time to discuss that.
Yeah.
So if we are assuming that we did make tactical tweaks and it's not all down to intangibles, what are the things that we needed to tactically correct from that period from 1-1 to half time? What were all the things that were going wrong tactically that we needed to sort out? That's what I was trying to get an answer from, not just on the intangibles.
Just better decision making for when we were pressing them. So instead of players doing it individually, which I think you saw that in the. I think I didn't have a group press until the 30th minute. If players are doing it on their own against this City side, they're just going to go, well, we can take you out of the game with a pass, lad. It was really
like Man United pressing us at Old Trafford, you mean?
Yeah, that's exactly that.
I think also, right, you said it as well. If you put the square where you've got the volume of press from each player on the targets. Yeah. If you look at the first half, the number of players that Hendo has pressed, I think it's 5 or 6, right? Which is in the first half. When it comes out second half, he only presses 3 players. Jota, I think, is also pressing 5 players. Second half goes to 3. So we become more targeted in the second half. So Hendo and Thiago, they still helped out pressing, like Si said, Jota would cut the pitch in half, which would mean then that would signal where the 8 would go. But until then, they stayed on the 6, the pivot. So Hendo took Silva in the second half, and Thiago had Rodri, and then they would alternate with the other centre half depending on what position Jota would take. And the 2 wingers remain focused by targeting the fullbacks, right? But in the first half, if you look at the number of players that Hendo particularly presses, it's not coordinated, because it meant that if you went and pressed really high on the fullback, they just popped it into the 2 6s, And Thiago might have done the same, which meant both sixes were free run to play a ball into KDB, Foden, whoever you want else, or switch it, right? So the focus of our pressing in that first 40 minutes, for me, looking at the analysis you guys have done, wasn't right. And that, in all the other intangibles, meant it was absolutely in City's hands, and they could have blown us away. I hope that makes sense.
I would add to this what we talk about in the group, that in the first 15 minutes, our passing was 66%.
Yeah, it was shocking. The basics were poor.
That's a goalie launching the ball up the field, right? And in the first 15 minutes of the second half, it was 89%. Having controlled possession allowed us to press in the moments we were set to press in. So if you jump to our goal, right? We'd had a little bit of possession. Virgil launched one of his sweeps from left to right towards Mo. I think it might have been towards Mo or to Trent, who were right next to each other.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we'd suck them over to Virgil's side, played the ball over the top to the far side for the switch, and Hendo was already there, ready for a second ball just in case one came. Because what happens from a ball in the air is Mo wins it and we go in behind, or they head the ball away to the lad that's already set to clean it up. And that's the thing that's how we recover the ball in the final third, by having specific passing movements. Yeah,
and we needed, and they weren't happening enough, I think, coordinated in the first half.
They weren't happening at all in the first half. Even our goal, which was wonderful, there was one brilliant pass from Thiago that caused it, and we had the ball long enough between Trent and Mo for everybody to squeeze up the pitch, which enabled us to be close enough to get the second ball.
Yeah, I think the other thing we talk about a lot, isn't it, so that we like to play high and compress the pitch or play in their half, right? But because of it, City did really well to make that a big space, which meant we couldn't, like you said in the chat as well, we couldn't connect up with our front players because the space in between the front and the back was bigger, was huge, which allowed City space. So
we only had one shot in the first half, basically, didn't we?
Yeah, but we had that. I don't know whether you want to do the second goal next.
Well, we had the Trent shot from inside his own half and the goal.
Yeah, but there's also that chance, isn't there, when Hendo wins a header and plays in Jota, and Jota doesn't make a decision.
Yes, yeah.
Right, and if Jota makes a decision, which he normally does, which is just excuse the phrase, blam it, that's a shot, and I would say he's got a fairly good chance of scoring there. Or he rolls it to the right and Mo's unmarked. But he doesn't make a decision, and I think it's Laporte comes back and makes a phenomenal sliding challenge, and the chance goes, it works away. But there is another opportunity which can't be measured because we didn't get a shot off, but we did win a ball back high through a header from Hendo, and Jota's in.
Yeah, agreed.
But a poor decision from him, I think, and that could have been 2 easily.
On to Rhodesy, can I just say you generally talks about the pressing? Just elaborate a little bit more, because you spend a lot of time collecting this one. And the first half must have been incredibly frustrating for you to watch. Did you just feel like, as Bart said, that we were just too indisciplined? There was almost like Jota was just doing a little bit like Lallana-esque, headless chickies. The intensity, exactly, you can't fault the work rate, but it was just too scattergun. It was too erratic. Yeah.
I thought that was the same from, I would say that the main three pressers in the first, the main three players who were pressing in the first half were Henderson, Thiago, and Jota. Okay, yes. But it was. Si mentioned this in the group. It was like Jota was covering the centre back. So if he made a decision to go to a centre back, there was never any backup to what happened after that. So if Jota didn't get there, then they'd pass it around us, but there was no backup from either eight or either other forward. But the other forwards had roles, that Si said. They were marking the full-backs. So it was like we had a system, but that system wasn't working when one player made a bad decision. But we were making lots of bad decisions in our initial thoughts about when we should go and when we shouldn't go. Because we had the game against Inter away where we were massively high and everyone was backing everyone up. And then we had the game the other week, I think it was in the Benfica game, where we didn't go high and we let them play the ball out with Otamendi and Vertonghen, and then we'd win the ball back in midfield. But in this game, we didn't have either. We weren't doing either. So Jota would go because Mane and Salah were marking the fullbacks because they were going high. But then no one were backing up Jota. And then if Jota got passed around, maybe one of the eights would go, but they would have no one either, and then that would lead to Fab being exposed.
Yeah, and they got passed around as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like lots of players making decisions that bad decisions that constantly built up on each other.
And it also meant that they still had 4 players on our 4. Do you know what I mean? So it's like we were doing this thing up front, and they would pass out freely, and then they'd have a free pass into 4 players who were basically 1v1 with our back 4. So it was as I said, it was a surprise to me that we managed to weather it. But then can be a sign of quality. You know, we did, for want of a better phrase, we hung in there and we got through it. So did you notice that the fact that we talk about making play predictable, and the fact every time the ball went from centre half to fullback for us, City shut down the ball back, so the fullback basically only had a choice to go one pass. Yeah, inside.
It was down the line. Whereas they were allowed to play the ball amongst themselves all day long.
Exactly, but it made our play really predictable. Normally, when the fullback gets it, if they can't find anything, they can knock it back to VVD, and we go out the other side, didn't it? But they stopped that pass, and I thought that attention to detail from Pep summed it up. It was like, right, I'm not going to let you do that. As soon as you go wide, that fullback's got to do something with the ball.
They disrupted us. We didn't disrupt them. And on top of this, we talk about how. When we, like early on in Champions League groups, when we play against, I don't know, lesser known teams or lesser infamous teams that try to, people say that they should defend and whatever, and we talk about how hard it is for them because they come from leagues that they win, they crush all the time. So they aren't used to doing things that stop playing against the big team from happening. Like in England, we play against lesser teams and they just park the bus. Similarly, the things that we were trying to do with our press was very unusual to our lads who have systemically learned to do this thing brilliantly for the last 3 or 4 years. They had to second guess themselves all the time so that the reaction from one to the next player, we no longer worked together as a mesh. Yeah. There was a slight delay. Even when it worked, the third player was a second too late in the press, or in the not even in the press, because we weren't really going to get the ball back, but in the shape so that they could play around it, so there was a gap. And then sometimes one of them would just pop out when they shouldn't have, and they were on their own, which just left, as long as they managed to play around that lad, that there was a huge gap behind him for them to play into Rodri or into Bernardo Silva. Yeah. But I wonder how much of it was just that we were asking our 8s and wide players to do something that they aren't used to, so they no longer had that unconscious synergy with one another.
Exactly, it's a cohesion. Look at the stats back though. Sorry, with 6.7 in group presses is about as low as it gets. Same with pressing chains. We just didn't have any cohesion in the press.
But weirdly, we had some really good opportunities. There were a couple when Ederson nearly scored in his own goal.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like
Diogo did that on his own, and he must have been 20 metres from the nearest Liverpool player.
Exactly.
And Laporte got stuck once as well.
He did, and when that Ederson one, I'm thinking, Josh, just die about it. You know what I mean? It's literally on the line. Just die. I thought it was going to be another 11 centimetre job again from the game, but no, you're right, Si. We did, even within all of this, we scored a goal, had another opportunity to create a better chance, and we had little moments like that where you think that they're half moments, you know. And they scored a deflected goal and a recycled free kick or recycled corner. So
just from a positive perspective, right? Even though we're talking in a very negative way, they still didn't create very much at all because our boys are still that good that even when they create a narrative that we can talk about for an hour of a negative, they still, one of them manages to shut down the actual threat.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't get anywhere near 1xG until they to Gabriel Jesus, right? They after 35 minutes, they're still at 0.7 xG. So they hadn't produced hardly anything, and we were not that far behind at 1.3. So it's sort of, it bears out what you're saying. It's like our quality of player still meant that actually, although we were going 1v1 at times, we got through that. Trent's passing might not be great, but he did some great defending at the time. And Robbo as well was defending Jesus fairly well,
I think the big, we are brilliant 1v1. I would absolutely back our lads 1v1 against any team in the world. One of the brilliant things that Pep did was to create for them to sacrifice 3 to get 4 of our players. So that left them with the overload.
Yeah.
If Klopp had just gone, screw that, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna let one of the fullbacks go, and we'll just tuck around and go 1v1. I would absolutely back our lads to have coped with that, but he didn't. He left the fullbacks intact, which left us short in the build phase.
Yeah. Which he changed second half.
Let's do the second goal, Dan. If you're back.
Yeah, there was a question in the chat. Was it offside in the first phase, leading to the corner? And I don't remember that.
I do. It wasn't.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
so,
I don't think it is.
The only thing that annoys me about this whole thing is that I don't know why Matic puts it out for a corner. No one gives him a shout. I think he could have just launched it for a throw-in. But anyway, it's by the by. It happened,
I thought it was offside at the time, but it wasn't.
But when he just casually he puts it out for a corner, I'm like, yeah, it just seemed a bit odd for me for him to do. But anyway, it goes to a corner. We clear the corner, and it pops up in the left-hand side in front of Trent's space. And Matic hasn't got out from winning the header. Ball gets put into the right-hand side of our box, and Jesus latches onto it, and Ali nearly gets a hand to it, but it goes in. And Matic's playing Jesus on.
Is it poor from Trent? Because he seems to stop.
I think Trent's playing the offside, but then he looks across and sees Matic's played him on, so he goes with him. Personally, if Matic goes up with the line, he's offside.
Agreed. It's marginal, but
it's really marginal. But I just think it would have been.
But surely you track your man. You don't watch the other. You don't.
Yeah,
watch
but we haven't done it. That's not that's not what we do, is it? We stick to a line and we play offside.
But that goal came about from it. There are psychological moments, and there is a phenomena. I'm terrible with names. It's something dynamics. We talked about it before, and that within 90 seconds of an incident, a second big incident happens. Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes there is a big tackle in midfield, then someone will make a mistake or someone will score. These things happen all the time, right? And 40 seconds before the corner, Ali just chipped the ball into the centre of midfield straight to Bernardo's head, which made them break because it caused chaos. And then we had 2 panicked clearances, and it all came from that moment.
Yeah, it's that's systems theory. Sorry, it's in the
theory.
It's in the UP. I did a whole piece on it about how each team is a system and you can be fairly well regulated in a dynamic game. But yeah, you're right. If one of that parts of that system causes a non-normal event, it creates that system to go into stress, and then all the other components that are balanced, like thermostasis, dynamic system. There you go. They become unbalanced and errors happen, like an offside line or like giving a you shouldn't have done. But it all comes from an event that no one expects. Like
90 seconds, and the goal went in 61 seconds after Ali's.
There you go.
Should Ali do better on the shot?
He gets a hand to it. I don't know. I mean, I've heard people saying he should come out for it. I'm not sure that's quite in his.
It did come out for it, but he just didn't.
No, but it should have come out quick. I don't know. If you look at it back, he gets a hand to it. I mean,
Nah.
I think that's a great finish. I hate saying that, but I think it's a good finish.
I think it's a great run and a great finish. It was really smart. They did it repeatedly during the game. They had they put 3 runners outside the box that waited until second phase when we emptied to the edge of the box to catch whoever is online, and they strategically leave 3 on the edge of the box, just for this very event.
Yeah.
So did Phil? You probably saw this. Did you see how good their runs were to break our line from set pieces? Because they were running from like 2 yards back.
Yeah, and that's exactly why.
Just before the set piece was, the free kick was taken. So they were 2 yards behind us, but they were running
the other way.
As it was going.
Yeah, it's all. So I said it's all coordinated. It's one of the things I did put in the scouting report. The fact that they do this. They target this particular area. They have runners coming in, and it's just targeted. They know when that ball is going to go, they go. It's the same thing of us playing that high line. We come out when that ball goes out. We go out as a line because that's what we do.
Yeah.
It's a thing. You know, Thiago ping for our first goal. Trent knows he's going to hit that ball, so he goes. Yeah, he hasn't got a fear of being offside because he knows Thiago's going to find him. It's the same with the free kick. Those 3 runners set up. On that signal, we're going, and the ball's getting put in there. And if you do it repeatedly, it becomes a close skill, and that's what it is. And then they get a chance, and they score. They don't score a lot, but they create chances.
I just find it fascinating that, most of us have seen set pieces and free kicks from those positions being taken for years. And what it is you've got a group of players stood statically, really, waiting for the ball to be taken, and then they move. Whereas City, in particularly on that, I don't think it was this one. I think that was the second phase, but there was another one where they made a run. They had 3 players make a run from like 2 yards back, and they headed it back across. Yeah.
He was offside.
But they're starting before the kick's taken, and then making the run so they can beat the trap, and then they're moving. Rather than this static set piece stuff that we've always seen.
It takes a quality of player, yeah? Like these are City
organisation, I would say.
An organisation.
It's the organisation,
this is
isn't it?
A clear tactic that Pepper's got drilled into them. This is what they do. And the quality of player means that the runs are timed superbly. Yeah, it's not a middle of the table where I might go, I might not. They're also making sure that they have the right speed of runner. The whole rest of it is all configured up to get the maximum output from that. It's
good timing. If you try it 5 times and it works once, you've got the biggest possible chance.
Yes.
Yeah, you have.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I mean, even the one that was offside it wasn't marginal, but you know what I mean? It wasn't that far away. Great. And then they get that one. So,
is any of you actually following the scores of the evening?
I've seen Chelsea are 3 up. Is that right?
Yep.
Are
And Bayern
they really?
Yeah, Bayern are 1 up.
Amazing. That's good. That's good. Good radio for tomorrow and for the.
No, but seriously,
that's your fault.
Jesus Christ!
Right, we're waiting for Dan. Is still struggling with his old internet. Should we move on to the second half yet, boys, or anything else in the first?
Are we in the middle of the second half? Are we still in the first half?
We're still in the first half.
We've just done the second goal for them. Let's come straight back to the first half. Tactical changes, Si, anything?
I don't think we did anything. We just kept the ball, which allowed us to move up the pitch a little bit better. I don't think we did anything different in the press. And once we were set, we could do stuff to try to win the ball back in a much more efficient way than we were before.
I think we were more targeted, Si. I'm not saying we did different. I just think we were more targeted, more focused.
Yeah, I think because we're in the better positions to do it.
Yeah, I think they come together, right? We were higher at the pitch, which meant we could be more targeted. We could get an approach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean the goal is is pretty special, to be fair. Mane's goal. It's is it Trent into Mo? Have I got that right?
I thought we already talked about this. Virgil lofts it over the top of one of them, and then Hendo's there to pick up the second ball.
That's it. Sorry, yeah.
He nicks it to Trent. Trent does a lovely step over, so it lets it run across his body, and he plays it into Mo, who I have no idea how. I appreciate this is me talking about Mo, but I would look. It would be one of those great, you know, that that computer graphic where they do the 3D of
the EA Sports.
How we could see that Mane was even there.
It was amazing
because he had his back to him, and he managed to play a 35-yard ball into the perfect space for Mane just to run onto and clip into the top corner around the fastest player on the planet. So that you're knocking a ball in behind and he's racing, though Mane is quick, against the fastest footballer in the world, and he gets there comfortably, and he doesn't need to take a touch.
Yeah. Do you think he's
phenomenal finish?
Do you think he's seen him early on and then just played it into an area?
No. I've seen he didn't look at him at all. There's a
better,
really good angle, and for it has like the whole build face from Virgil, and he doesn't look in his direction. So he's actually trying to get rid of his marker, and he's got his back to play.
And then it's sort of they continue to hit some longer balls into channels. We drop off a bit, and then we get probably our pivotal moment in the second half.
Let's bring Dan back in. Are you back, Dan?
Is he in?
It might be. I don't know how good it is.
you are, mate. Sounds good.
Really? I've got virtually nothing on the internet. It's just ridiculous.
No, it sounds good, mate.
Okay. So did you mention Kyle Walker switching off at that post for the 5,000 millionth time in his career?
No.
The theme of I thought that was quite apt. Yet again, Kyle Walker was caught napping like he always used to do. Baxton's. Anyway, where did you get to, chaps? Just the equaliser.
Yeah, just after that.
So, have you covered the actual practical changes yet? What we started to do? Do you think it was just a question of being Barts? I did hear you touch on it.
So yeah, we were just saying that. Aside saying the same, we just because we got further up the pitch, we could make the things work better, and we were more targeted in our approach because we were able to do that because of our position on the pitch and our positioning in general, which enabled us to start doing our thing, if you like. So we've covered that a little bit, and the more focused approach was due to our position on the pitch as well.
I think tactically, if we did anything, do you know when I was saying that in the first half we had that Pep left pushed 3 against committed our 4 fullback. Yeah. I think we gambled a little bit quicker in the phase in the build phase to release one of the fullbacks into the midfield.
I was going to say I thought our fullbacks were ultra aggressive in the second half, like really aggressive. I mean, Trent's up front in one part.
But we had loads of the ball at that point.
I know. I'm just
how to get to there. That's different. Now, how we get them up the pitch in the first place. That's when we were leaving our fullbacks back. And I think in the second half we released them enough so that De Bruyne, when our centre backs had the ball, they used Raheem and the Raheem to try to dictate which direction that the centre back was going to play out to the fullback. De Bruyne would then cover Fab, so there was no passing to Fab, and then they would block it, so he had to go long. And in the second half, we play the weak side fullback would then push into midfield, which allowed one of the 8s to drop to receive possession, which allowed us to build through the phases. And until then, they were higher, and that's how we got a little bit more of the ball. When I say a little bit more of the ball, we had 294 passes in the first half, 234 passes in the first half, 234 passes in the second half. We didn't have a lot more of the ball, but we just kept it. We didn't lose it as readily, and that was the biggest difference.
Yeah, no.
Obviously, Salah sets up the big chance as well for Jota on 51.
Rhodesy, can I just ask you, from when you were doing the collection, what did you see? What did you see in the improvement in terms of us off the ball in the second half?
Well, that's what Phil was touching on earlier. But It's a reduction in the amount of people that people are going to target. So instead of one player trying to press 4 or 5, which obviously takes a lot more space to cover, which obviously gives you more risk in terms of getting passed by. If you're just targeting the people in your zone, which is what they should be doing, then it's harder for the team to play around you. And the result
of that was more possession wins, more direct possession wins, more
exactly. Well, you've got give us the data because you did a first and second half split, and that's exactly what it showed. I don't think we had a direct possession win in the first half.
We had one.
There you go.
Yeah, is my sound okay?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, start. Good again now.
Yeah, I'll post a couple while people are talking on and. So where do we get to next, chaps? You want to lead off there because I'm on it now.
Yeah, so to say that, it seemed like Mo was being marked well in terms of his attacking, but his creativity sets up 2 big chances in 6 minutes at the start of the second half, mate. Sets up the Jota one, doesn't it?
Well, the thing is that when Mo needs somebody near him, otherwise the ball is just coming back when you've got 2 players over there marking, and that he had players to play off because Trent was getting a little bit higher up the pitch because the ball was getting to him either in broken play for him to be to isolate Cancelo, or if we had fixed possession that Trent was getting released inside so that there was somebody to play off, and from then 2 intricate passes led to 2 big chances created. He wants to be involved in the game, but we have to get him the ball, and we have to get him the ball when he's not being marked by 3 players.
It's like you always say, though, Si, isn't it? If you get the ball to Mo in good positions, we will create something. We will do that, exactly. and that's what happened. And to be fair with you, for me, I said in the chat tonight, this is the game here. That chance there, Jota takes a better touch, he scores. That's 2-1. That's 3-2 even. It's a great chance. Is it 0.32, something like that?
0.37. Yeah.
I've no idea what type of finish Josh is trying to do. Apologies, I'm not digging him out, but I don't know what he's trying to do. I would have assumed he just takes a touch and then puts it in the bottom right, but he tries to some sort of scoop chip over Ederson, and Ederson deals with it easily. But no, I thought this was a really good period for us. Getting Mo the ball in those areas, and we created our best chances of the game.
This is not even just about Mo. This is the we talked about this 2 pods ago. Is that when it's about the combinations of midfield and the combinations of the attack as to how they get the ball in the first place. And when Mane, Jota, Mo play up front, Mo's the playmaker.
Yeah.
And we have to get him the ball deeper a little bit earlier and then make sure we got runners off him because he's the second best passer of the ball in the team. And in the attacking phase, he might be the best passer of the ball in the team. So we have to do that. And there's no surprise that our two goals came from had Trent, Thiago and Salah as the main providers.
Absolutely. And I think we found a way, didn't we, to create that space for Salah to operate in and get the ball to him. Whereas in the first half, they were blocking that off really well. City were, I'm saying.
They were really. We don't have the numbers, and I'm not seeing them anywhere. But I think it would be. I think this was a really, really high octane. Both teams get 118 kilometers. There was so much running from both teams. They'll be knackered. It will actually suit us in the long term, because we have a more rotatable squad across all positions than they do, which is the weirdest thing to say.
It is strange, but like you said, Diaz for them is out, isn't he?
Yeah.
So that means they've got to play either Ake at centre-half if they're going to rotate, or they've got to play those 2 centre-halves for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
Do we agree that maybe the delay from Klopp in the subs was because we were a lot more impressive in the first 20 minutes of the second half? Because I've heard a bit of criticism that it was too late.
I don't know. It's possible. I thought it was a bit late.
I thought it was late. I actually thought we started to drop off on the hour.
Yeah.
I would have changed Naby then. Personally, I would change Hendo any then.
So what dropped off? Because Dan's just mentioned then about Fabinho and why did he have a poor game? Is that because of other people's failures, or?
I think it felt more. It felt worse than it actually was. It definitely felt worse than it was statistically.
I mean, Fab finishes on 76 pass completion, which is the lowest of the midfielders. Thiago's 89, Hendo's 85. So for him, that's a poor game. But we have seen some other midfielders get 60s, so it's
three failed presses leading to shots is pretty poor though, mate.
But I don't like. I would never make a qualitative assessment of Fab's pressing in comparison to Firmino's pressing or Mane's pressing or either of the eight's pressing, because most of their pressing is done in the opposition's half, and if they get or if Fab is pressing outside the centre circle on the far side of the centre circle and he gets beaten and then they go up the pitch and score or have a shot, that's one thing. But we're talking pressers in just around pressers or chasing.
I agree.
So
Chases
he's
is
chasing, and it looks like a press.
That's exactly. No, we have to count it as one, but it's not. Yeah, I agree.
I agree with you.
Completely agree.
Fab shouldn't be the main presser.
Chasing across because Hendo was busy arguing with a referee.
Yeah,
I agree.
And not only that they took the free kick instantly from 5 meters away from where it.
Yeah. But it happens all the time, doesn't it? I mean, you just got to be gang smart, haven't you?
Sure, we weren't game smart in this.
No, Hendo should have sat on the ball.
I think for the first 20 minutes of the game, I think we weren't game smart. Our biggest players weren't game smart, and that's what caused the feeling more than anything. Fab didn't have his best game. I don't think he was terrible.
No, but I think second half, I thought would that be fair to say it was more like us?
Maybe, but also we could also say, if we're entirely objective, we could have had 2 players sent off. And I think we're jumping to a conclusion that they got 6 or 7 times without getting a shot.
Yeah. I mean, was it 68
Sterling's
through? Well, Sterling's through, isn't he? And VVD just, I don't know what he does, some sort of voodoo on it. He just stops him from taking a shot at all. But then he scores an offside goal, doesn't he? 5 minutes later, is that right?
Yeah. Trent did a brilliant bit of one-on-one defending. Virgil had a block off. It was given as a clearance off the line, but it wasn't. It was just inside the 6-yard box at the end of the second first half.
From Jesus, yeah.
But then we are good at that type of defending, right?
Absolutely.
Chances. We're brilliant at that type of defending, so that's not something we're not used to seeing. That's kind of like, all right, that's what we do. It's you're right. Thiago and Fab probably should have seen 2 reds. A double yellow and a red and a red. But yeah.
So it's easy to get caught up in the feelings of the game. That's like. It feels like we were better second half. I'm not sure we were.
We were. I think we were definitely.
I thought we had better. Maybe we had better chances. So.
I don't think we had better chances than them. I just think we had. I think we played better than we did in the first half.
Which isn't hard, but yeah. But
I thought we controlled them more in the second half, and I thought we was completely without any control in the first half, and we were fortunate to get away with only conceding 2.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's fair. That's fair.
No.
We were panicked and stretched in the first half.
Yeah, exactly.
Half, I don't know if we were. I think we were probably stretched, but I think it was a choice.
It was a contest.
It was different.
A contest.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
it should be. They are brilliant. They are absolutely brilliant.
Did the subs work? Did the subs work? Did they change the game? I thought Diaz was good when he came on.
Oh no, I put the stats in there. Honestly, there's not a lot. I mean, Naby had 12 passes, 83. He didn't really do anything. Bobby might. I didn't really have anything to impact. Diaz, 78 pass completion. 9 passes, 29 touches. I love
the press went into a leading.
Yeah, true, but I think this feeds into. I think they were late. If you're going to bring Diaz on to run at, effectively run at Walker, one of the quickest players in the league, apparently one of the best fullbacks England's ever produced, give him more than what did he have?
Give over saying stuff like
Diaz
that.
Diaz didn't have 29 touches.
Blasphemy.
Final third. Sorry, Diaz. He had 20 minutes.
He had 24 minutes. He had 11 touches.
Yeah, but
Kyle Walker is not one of the best fullbacks.
I know. I was tongue in cheek, but I'm just saying, if you want to bring on someone to run at him, give him more time than Diaz got. He didn't get a lot of time. It was broken up.
Here's an un-UP stat.
12 emotions.
So we lost on tackles against City. We won 12 of 26 tackles in this game.
Against City.
Against City. And there were only 2 lads in the team that had a positive tackle differential. Do you know who they are?
For us?
For us or City, sorry. For
us. Who City obviously had more than that because they won the tackles by 14.
Naby and Matip.
Nope.
Thiago?
Mo and Diaz.
Really?
Yeah. Virgil lost the tackles. He lost 2 out of 3.
Oh, man.
Mentally. Who cares about tackles? But I'm just saying it that kind of shined to me a little bit because it stood out. And the other thing is we just didn't dribble.
No, we didn't progress the ball at all.
We just never attempted to carry them. I just wanted Diaz to get on there and just run at people.
Again, I would have brought him on earlier to do that, you know. When we had the spacing right, there was prime opportunity to get him the ball and go on in, and he didn't.
Let's try and finish off, boys. What about that Mahrez chance at the end? We've talked about it a little bit. Should he do better? I just thought he looked really slow.
I think he's not quick. I think we're undercrediting Matip because he deflects it over. I think Matip makes a really good recovery run.
I thought he chipped it over. Did he deflect it? Did he?
Deflects off Matip. Yeah,
doesn't get a corner now, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, we got I don't care. We don't get a corner, Rhodesy. If you look at the slow mo, it comes off Matip. I think that's it. We get 2 back. That's great. Again, that kind of defending that we are good at, we did it, and we caused it. So not only did he have to worry about Ali coming at him, he had VVD and Matip, probably 2 best centre backs in the league, coming around him. So yeah, I think it was. I mean, KDB though, to create the chance was pretty special.
KDB completely in 30 metres of space.
Yeah,
in front of our back 4 again.
Yeah. In the 93rd or 2nd minute, whatever it is. It's, and that's from, I'm not picking on him, but Fab tries a clip ball out to Robbo after we've kept it quite well for a bit. Fab tries an easy ball that you'll see him do loads of times, clip it out to the fullback, underhits it, they nick it straight into KDV, and he's off. And he creates that chance. But it comes from Fab giving the ball away.
I actually thought it was Diaz who didn't get in front of the ball. He didn't get in front of the player. Yeah. I thought it was Diaz because my wife loves Diaz and she thinks I hate him, and I don't at all. But I also don't think he's been anywhere near as good as people would have you believe.
Yeah, there was a failed Fab press in the lead up to that as well.
Yeah, we just see him trying to recover the ball. Yeah, but I'm just saying, Fab gives the ball. Yeah, whether he's trying to hit Diaz or Robbo, it's a normal ball Fab would make. He doesn't make it. And then he, as you say, he's chasing back, tries to press it, loses it, and then KDB's off.
Couldn't do anything, could he? Because he would have been sent off.
He'd have been sent off, yeah.
But final thoughts on the impact of the game. I'm going to try and get Dan in just for 2 minutes, maybe at the end. I know he is with us. What's this mean for the context of the title, Dan? Let's try you.
We can still win it.
Obviously we can, but what do you think is going to happen?
Because I don't believe that if a team can drop 0.3 in the last 6 matches, that it won't drop points in the next 7 matches. There's a given that City aren't going to drop any points. So if you drop points to Southampton and Palace, you can drop more points. And there's no reason why we can't win all 7 of our remaining games. So all we can do is make the season go as deep as possible. Game 38. If it make it go as long as possible, increase the chance of randomness, and see what happens.
Good points. Si, what do you reckon? Because you might not be able to watch Game 38.
Yeah, it's true. I think as I always say, that beat the dross to win the league. Whoever beats the dross from here on out wins the league.
Yeah, the mantra that Si has had for years and years and years is so true. But isn't it? City dropped 9 in the last 9 as well points. So it's,
on current form, we're winning the league by 94 points to 91,
and it's that. I actually think the result, apart from if we got
is that 10 game rolling? 10 games.
Yeah, I think
10 game rolling. Yeah,
yeah. I think if we'd lost, I genuinely think that's City's title. But as it's a draw or us winning, I think it's actually the same outcome. We've got to win our games. City have got to win theirs. Our form is better at the moment by looking at 10 game rolling and other. City have dropped 7 in whatever stat you want to look at. City have dropped points recently. City have not got their first choice centre half at a critical time of the season. We are looking pretty fresh in terms of our rotation, and hopefully that we keep doing that for tomorrow. It is. I think it's all to play for. I really do.
Can we
all to
go?
Play for? Can we have some certainties going on here? Some actual predictions, Phil? Who's going to win title? Yeah, who's going to win it?
I think it'll be
by how many?
I think it'll be by a point.
Come on.
Let's go with form. We're the form side.
I think City by 2 points, Si. Go on, you.
I hope we win it by 3 points. I think we lose it by 1.
Dan?
Yeah, I think balance of probabilities, I think City win it. But we've still got probably somewhere between a 33 and a 40 chance of winning it.
Yeah, it's 35 on a lot of models.
Can I put some positivity in here?
Yeah, there is
a bit. Pod, for God's sake. Rolling 10 games. We're at 2.8, they're at 2.1 points per game. Rolling 19 games. They're at 251. We're at 253. The first time we've been over them in a rolling 19 for 60 games. Rolling 38 games. They're at 226. We're at 237. We're currently just a better team.
And I agree with that as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight. Well, I said 1 point.
So I'm changing my mind. We're going to win by 3.
You're going to win by 3.
Love it.
I think
that's what the stats say. The stats say we win.
I was going to say form says that we nick it by a close point, but I think it'd be 1 point either way. There you go.
Go on, Dan. Finish it off for us.
Win the quad. It's on.
Nice. Anyway. Weird stat alert, right, before the end of this, because we have to have a weird stat at some point. That Fabinho has been booked 39 times in the first half without getting sent off. How is that possible? He's a defensive midfield thug.
He's brilliant, Si. That's what it is.
He is.
It's got a wonderfully innocent face, though, hasn't it?
So's Thiago as well.
Those tactical fouls when he goes, sorry, I'm really sorry. It's just kind of...
He's been booked in 68 games without getting sent off, without getting a second yellow. Well, something very cool just happened because my son just squealed, so I'm guessing.
Buying her out. Buying her out.
Yeah, buying her out.
Buying her out. And
is that
Chelsea. Yeah, that's who we're playing. We're playing Villarreal, and Chelsea have gone to extra time.
Man, I don't want to play Villarreal.
Of course you did.
That links in well with the pod.
Real Madrid have scored 5-4. Benzema.
Yeah, the last pod we did.
Look at this live reporting.
Amazing. Chelsea's hearts. Oh.
Could have happened to a nicer set.
Right.
Anyway,
just these Sundays go well.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Sorry that Dan was internet issues, and we will be back for a double header. I think it's going to be a double header after the City game, but we'll see. Cheers, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.